Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shashwin. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept our humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, and today's verse is verse number 14. We hand over to you, Prabhu, now.
Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. So if someone would like to read the Sanskrit and the translation?
Yes. Shashwin, are you able to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloker Bhagavate Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Tavapyetarhi Kauravya Saptaham Jivitavadi Upakalpaya Tatsarivam Tavad Yatsamparayikam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, would you like us to read the translation and purport?
Yes, please.
Okay. Translation. Maharaja Parikshit, now your duration of life is limited to 7 more days. So during this time, you can perform all those rituals which are needed for the best purpose of your next life. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Shukadeva Goswami, after citing the example of Maharaja Katwanga, who prepared himself for the next life within a very short time, encouraged Maharaja Parikshit by saying that since he still had 7 days at his disposal, he could easily take advantage of the time to prepare himself for the next life. Indirectly, the Goswami told Maharaja Parikshit that he should take shelter of the sound representation of the Lord for the 7 days still remaining in the duration of his life and thus get himself liberated. In other words, everyone can best prepare himself for the next life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, as it is recited by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaja Parikshit. The rituals are not formal, but there are also some favorable conditions which are required to be carried out as instructed hereafter. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And the text again?
Okay.
Yes.
Is text number 15?
No. I'm going to read again in English, text 14.
Okay.
Maharaj Parikshit, now your duration of life is limited to 7 more days. So during this time, you can perform all those rituals which are needed for the best purpose of your next life. So Srila Prabhupada gives us this example of Maharaj Parikshit. And actually, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is presenting this example of Maharaj Parikshit and how he dealt with his upcoming departure. So Srila Prabhupada says that he should take shelter of the sound representation of the Lord for the 7 days still remaining in his duration of life. In other words, everyone can best prepare himself for the next life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is very nice, very simple instruction, very clear. There's no, as they say, ambiguity about this. There's no lack of clarity. Maharaj Parikshit, what is he doing? he is simply hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is our focus. As we heard in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, life's desires should never be directed to anything other than self-realization, into inquiry into the absolute truth. Nothing but devotional service should be the goal of our life. And devotional service specifically means for us hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting the divine names of Godhead. So this is our focus. As we sometimes discuss, and as we are instructed by Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna, whatever we do, if it helps us to chant the holy names of Krishna, or if it helps us to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, then we do it. And if it doesn't help, then we don't do it. Very simple. It's not very complicated in principle. Now, in specific situations, of course, we may wonder, and we can always ask a senior person, what do you think would be more favorable? Sometimes we are not able to have the favorable situation we would like, isn't it? Sometimes our work situation is challenging to our sadhana. Sometimes we have to travel. Sometimes we're in school, our health. So there can be all sorts of challenges to our chanting and hearing about Krishna. So I like this, being able to understand the theory, the foundational principles, because that helps us in many different areas of life to know what to do if we don't have some specific direction. Just like if you're working for a company, and if it's a for-profit company, well, the goal of the company is to maximize profits and reduce expenses. As they say, increase the bottom line. So if your manager is not available for to answer a question, then we just, well, will it help the bottom line or will it not? And it makes it very simple. And sometimes we may think that, well, this is maybe this isn't a decision I should make. You know, this is I'm a little it's beyond. It feels a little beyond me to take some difficult decision. But if we're guided by the basic principle, then at least we won't be found fault with. You know, at least it won't be. At least we're attempting to make the right decision and move in the right direction, and that will be appreciated by our superiors, and of course, it's appreciated by Krishna, and it's appreciated by our spiritual master that we do our best, because that's how Krishna, just like a doctor. Imagine you are a doctor. So someone comes, I have this cancer. What should I do? So you say you do this, 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 and then it will be reduced. So then you find out that the person's not following the diet, they're not taking their medicines, and you become a little disappointed. That what is this? You came to me, you took shelter of me, you asked me for help. I told you what to do, and you're not doing it. So then we may once or twice, maybe three times, right? Or even our child, or maybe we have gone to our father or mother, and maybe once or twice or three times they will. You have to do this. I have given you. Now just do it, please. And then the fourth time, I'm not going to help you anymore. You're not serious. When you're ready to be serious, to receive the solution and follow it, then come talk to me. You see? Isn't that how it works? Maybe five times. So Krishna is the same way. So we are saying, oh, please save me from the Maya. But if we're watching porn or we're taking intoxicants and then oh, I'm in Maya, please help me. You silly nonsense. You're doing stupid things. And then you're, oh, I'm in Maya. Yes, you're in Maya. Yes. Oh, I haven't chanted in 3 weeks. Well, yes, you're going to be having problems. So once, twice, 3 times, Srila Prabhupada said, uh, if we willfully uh, or we willfully make mistakes, I'm not going to follow this nonsense. I'm tired of it. And then we suffer because that's what will happen after some will because we don't follow, even if it's difficult, if we don't follow the principles, we will feel more anxious and more fearful, and life will become darker. Our heart will become dark. So then we go back. Oh, I have to chant. I have to follow these principles. I feel miserable. And that's usually the motivating factor. Uh, we don't follow the process and we feel more miserable. Or even we begin to become, well, of course, that is misery, but we become bothered by more sinful desires. So that pushes us. Oh, I have to start my bhakti again. But if we do that 2, 3, 4 times, then Krishna may not. Uh, well, he may think that it's all right. I think really you have such a strong desire to do these things. I'm going to let you do them for a while, a few months, a few years, so you can become really convinced that I don't want to do that. I will be very strict in my practices. So, uh, but the point is to be sincere and to do our best uh, to follow the uh, the bhakti process, to take shelter of Krishna. Lord Krishna says right in the 18th chapter, Sarvadhamma Pariyaja, Mamekam Sharanam Braja, Aham Tvam Sava Papebhyo, Moksha Shami, Masuja. That if you surrender to me, I will relieve you. I will protect you from your past sins, your past sinful reactions. Also in the 3rd chapter, that verse, Daivihe Shugunamayi Mamamaya Taratya, Namedame Tarantite, Mametam Tarantite. That according to that the 3 modes of material nature, they're under my control. But if you surrender to me, I can free you. Krishna can free us from the control of passion and ignorance and even goodness. But we have to surrender. And uh, does anyone remember the 6 principles or one of the 6 principles of surrender? There are 6 principles of surrender described in a few different places. Does anyone remember hearing about that or reading something? Yeah. Uh, so you can find them in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're in the introduction. And where you can find also in the Nectar of Devotion book. But there are 6 different principles, and I'm not sure I can remember all of them. But one of them is to consider oneself very meek and humble. 2 is to think that no one can protect me but Krishna. And 3 is to accept what's favorable. That's the one that I was thinking about. So that's one of the principles of surrender, is to accept what's favorable, and then also to reject what's unfavorable, because that's what we were talking about. If we're a doctor and we're giving someone advice, we want to see that they're rejecting things that hurt their progress and that they're accepting. Otherwise, where is the surrender? Anyone can say anything. Oh, I'm surrendered. I accept Jesus into my heart. But are you doing what Jesus wants? Are you living like he said? It's in the New Testament. He said, if you want to follow me, then you pick up the cross, just like I'm doing, and you walk with it. And there's other direct instructions. So it's not just, of course, it is heartfelt, but then also there is actual activity. So accepting what's favorable, rejecting what's favorable, feeling oneself completely dependent on Krishna, thinking that no one else ultimately can protect me or help me but Krishna, being meek and humble. So there are principles of surrender. Krishna says, as you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly. It's just like in school. It may not be the best example, but everyone, it's available to everyone to get 4.0 average, right? It's potentially possible. No one is denied. Oh, you can never get 4.0. No, everyone could, but it depends upon our work, isn't it? You have to really study and do all the different things that are helpful to get that high grade point average. So it's the same thing. So much depends upon our honest effort. Uh, at the same time, there are, transcendental blessings, and certainly we are helped by Krishna, helped by the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada writes this in the Nectar of Devotion that for one who serves the spiritual master without reservation, willingly, then they receive, the regulative principles become easier to follow. Now, that's an interesting thing. For one who serves the spiritual master enthusiastically, who pleases the spiritual master, the regulative principles become easier. So, the regulative principles become harder if we have too many desires that are bothering us and we don't have attraction to Krishna. So that attraction to Krishna, uh, uh, Krishna does not deny us, but on the other hand, we have to show him that we are really wanting. We have to show our desire. We discussed this a little bit last week. I quoted from the sixth canto in the story of Maharaj Triptiketu, how Maharaj Triptiketu offers prayers to Lord Vishnu, and he expresses that your mercy is available to those who control their senses. For those who are striving to truly be on the spiritual platform. And this relates again to what we're discussing. That suppose you're working in an office, you're working in a company. So if we do our work very expertly and responsibly and dependably, usually we will get promoted, or we will get an increase in our salary, isn't it? Even if you don't ask. Sometimes you have to ask, but usually even without, because they recognize, oh, this person. But if we're not worthy, then we won't get as big of an increase, or we may even be demoted, right? Oh, you're not doing this position, so now you must be demoted. You're going to go to a lower level. You're going to go back to your former position, right? Because we're not showing that we deserve or that we want that higher position. So Krishna, of course, knows exactly our motives. He knows how sincere we are. He knows how much we are struggling. He knows the different challenges. He knows everything. Uh, so to go back to what we were discussing, so imagine you're a manager and you see the salesperson ignoring good sales opportunities, and uh, they're not attentive to their work. then they don't deserve to have that position. Obviously, they don't want it. They don't want that higher position. Uh, Sometimes parents, or not sometimes, but the idea of disciplining a child is to help them, uh, well, often to appreciate the value of what they have, isn't it? That uh, as long as you are responsible and you are obedient and you are doing this and this, then you can have this privilege. But if they don't, then we take the privilege away, don't we? No, for 2 days, 2 weeks, you can't have this thing. And then that helps them to appreciate, oh, I will do whatever I have to so I can have that back, right? So the same thing is with Krishna. In fact, as he even uh, told the gopis, we may remember, they asked him when they went to meet him in the forest, and then he disappeared. So they said, "Why do you do this? You know how much we love you. We know how much we want you to be with you." And he said, "I sometimes uh, make it so the devotee feels separated from me to increase their desire, to increase their desire. When you really work for something, when you get it, you more value it, isn't it? When you really work to get that university degree and there's so many difficult and you finally get your graduation, you appreciate it or whatever it may be. So Krishna, same thing. So Maharaj Pariksit, uh, he is taking shelter of Krishna. And specifically, we are told by the sound representation is how we stay close to Krishna. So this is our life. This is our life. We just want to live out our life and stay close to Krishna. Stay busy. As they say, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Even Srila Prabhupada said, passion is better than ignorance. So even we're a little passionate, oh, let me make money, let me get a car, let me get a house, whatever it is, uh, don't slip into the mode of ignorance, becoming lazy and slothful and uh, in both materially and spiritual. But we want to stay enthusiastic and active. Find something to do for Krishna that we like to do. And you know, bhakti yoga is so nice. Whatever we like to do, usually, or most of it, we can do for Krishna. You know, you like to teach, you like to manage, you like to paint, you like to sell things, whatever kind of work you like to do, then do that. Then do it. Do it good. Put all your heart into it. And also, uh, uh, make your aim the service of Krishna. Let me do this for Krishna. Whatever money I make, whatever I can give, whatever I can donate, let me do that. And also use the money for my own and my family's devotion to Krishna. And so this is very, very nice. And we just live out our life like Maharaj Pariksit. And he got notice. We may be fortunate to get notice. Sometimes people, just like before they have serious heart attacks, they get pain in their left arm, going down their left arm and their shoulder, and they can know, oh, this might indicate a serious heart situation, blockage of the arteries, so they can get some warning. Oh, something big could be coming. Usually, we can get treatment. But my point is that we may be fortunate to get some notice, like Maharaj Pariksit, so that we can prepare better. You know, we can put more focus on that. Oh, any day now, any week, any month. So let me be more attentive. Of course, why should we not always be attentive? There's death all around us, isn't it? There are reports of people dying every hour in our country, other countries, whether we know the people or not. People are leaving this world. There are so many people who are younger than us who leave, isn't it? 30-year-old, 40, 50-year-old people uh, dying. So, the four principles, one of them is intoxication. So that's an interesting one, intoxication. We know intoxication, right? You can't think straight. But it doesn't just, it's not just you can't drive or you can't walk. Sometimes we see a drunk person walking. They don't walk good. Uh, but intoxication, we're not able to understand something for what it is, right? Things become muddy. Your brain becomes dull, dull like a goat. Goats, maybe some of you are familiar. The goats at the slaughterhouse, a flock of goats. I don't know what they're called, a flock, I think. And so they're there and they're chewing on the grass. They're tied or they're in some enclosure and they're chewing. They're chewing on the grass, eating. And then off in the distance, bah, bah, they hear the goats getting killed one by one. And they're just chewing on the grass. Good grass. They could chew the rope. They could chew the rope and run for your life. But they're just so, I mean, they're goats, but they're so dull-headed, dull like a goat. So we should not be like that. We should be frightened if we see our mind becoming dull, you know, too dull. And it is a kind of, you might say, a bitter medicine. Um, or it's a tapasya, as we discussed last week. Tapo divyam puchakajena sattva. Lord Rishabhadev told his sons, don't waste this life like the goats and the dogs and the hogs. Don't do that. Stay awake. That's what he said. Stay awake. And so that's an austerity. To stay awake, that's what it means. The Brahmins' austerity. Sometimes we hear how the Brahmins, they live an austere life. So Brahmin doesn't mean necessarily they're renounced. Brahmins in household life, Brahmins not in household life. Anyone who's trying to live Brahminically, anyone who's trying to remain Brahminically qualified, or just to put it simply, anyone who's striving to be God conscious. It requires, like anything else, some austerity. You can't be living the same as everyone else. It won't work. So that's Lord Rishabhadev was telling his sons, don't live like everyone else. You've done that in your previous birth. And the life before that, and the life before that, you've done that. So one life, just tapo divya. Keep yourself non-intoxicated, which can be challenging. I mean, it could be challenging because we're coming from a background of drinking, or we're previously we were addicted to some kind of drugs. But it also means sleeping too much. You sleep 8, 9 hours, 10 hours, you become dull. I mean, sometimes we need to sleep. But if you do that when you don't need, if you sleep more than you need to, again and again, you become dull like a goat, dull-headed. If we don't chant our rounds, if we eat bad food, especially grains. Grains are so dangerous. If we eat grains, especially hand-cooked grains by a sinful person, we might as well take poison. Might as well take some poison. We will become infected by sinful desires. And that's a challenge to our Krishna consciousness, isn't it? If you're driving in your vehicle and then you take a hand of mud and you reach out the window and throw it on the windshield. Why would you do such a thing? Right? I mean, right? Oh, I can't see. Yes, you can't see, you foolish person. You've just put mud on your windshield. So when we break the regulative principles, it is putting mud. So that's an austerity, right? To get up at sunrise and to avoid intoxicants and to eat the right kind of food and to follow the different to read regularly, to not be distracted by the television and the radio and the movies and this and that. It's an austerity. But everyone is doing some austerity, and this is Brahminical life. And as Lord Vrishabhadev said, the result will be Brahma Sokim Tvanantam. Tvanantam, eternal happiness, eternal joy. So yeah, so this is our instruction. And Maharaj Pariksit, he is showing us as many other pure devotees in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Who else? Prithu Maharaj. Later on in the fourth canto, he will renounce and prepare himself to go back to Godhead. The Pandavas, they did like that. Dhruva Maharaj. So we have many good examples of preparing for departure. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to say in the purport that the rituals are not formal, but there are also some favorable conditions, which I think we've been basically discussing here. How to keep things favorable for our hearing about Krishna. The spiritual master, the guru, teaches us about Krishna and how to surrender to Krishna and how to carry on in surrender to Krishna. The guru is so valuable person, obviously, most precious person, as Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, there is no one more dear to me, nor will there ever be one more dear who teaches the science of bhakti. And the gopis in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, they say that we take upon our head the dust from the feet of those who are teaching bhakti in the material world, especially the pure devotee, spiritual master, and anyone to different degrees who is going out of their way voluntarily to assist or directly to teach bhakti. We are sure to get the attention of Krishna. And notice I emphasized assisting. We should not make the mistake of thinking that, oh, I can't preach and I'm not qualified and I don't know what to say, or I'm too busy, I'm working, I have my family, I don't have time to teach anyone about Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada writes in the 9th, you can look it up, it's in the 9th chapter, I think it's in the 1st or 2nd verse. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that not only those who are preaching Krishna consciousness, but those who assist, those who help the effort, they also receive the same benefit. So this is very, very wonderful opportunity that we just have to do our work and orient that let me do whatever I can to assist the teaching of Krishna consciousness, whether by money or by our time, whatever it is. If we think like that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wearing saffron, wearing white, it is our heart. Krishna knows our heart, and he will reciprocate. And as Krishna says, Mama Maya Dharatya, as you surrender, I will relieve you from the modes of nature. So actually, because this, what Yada Yadar Hidamasya Glanir Bhavata Arata Abhutanam Dharmasya. Lord Krishna says, I descend again and again to spread religious principles. That is Krishna's mission. That is the company mission. Krishna is our father, and he has a purpose. He has places to go, things to do, people to see, and whoever thinks, oh, let me do what I can. We will get Krishna's attention, and we will also get transcendental protection from Maya. Yes, that's what I wanted to say because it is such a surrender. So all of us, whether we feel compassion or don't feel compassion or whatever, just think this thing. Let me do in my life to help myself, to help my family, to help the Hare Krishna movement, other Vaishnava movements, as we like, to teach the science of Krishna. As we may remember, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master instructed him and told Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told him that you preach this Krishna consciousness, it will do good for you and it'll do good for others. So this is the beautiful thing, beautiful. Just like when we on the street, busy street with cars, and we help someone cross, some elderly person. Oh, let me help you cross the street. We cross the street at the same time. We don't have to think, oh, what about me? No, you help, automatically you will go too. You see? So it's beautiful, beautiful thing. So let me stop here and then we can discuss and ask any questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I just had was just thinking about this point you were mentioning about the eating food prepared by non-devotees, especially the cooked, grains. Uh, can you please elaborate on that, Prabhuji?
Yeah, that was described by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He advised his followers, be very careful about eating grains cooked by non-devotees. It will make your mind wicked. So we should do the best we can. We can, especially, nowadays they have these mass manufacturing, right? And, things are made by machines and no one touches it. So still, that's not the best thing because we want to offer to Krishna the most pure, best things that we make ourselves. But it's not too bad. But what is really polluting is the actual touch. Some person who's breaking one or more of the regulative principles, and they're actually with the spoon and with their hands, they're making the paratas and the samosa or whatever it is, because there is a subtle transference of their mentality into the food, especially when it's touched. The mass manufactured is not so bad because of that, although it's not ideal. But especially that you go to someone's house. I mean, I personally experienced many times. But what? Who am I? Lord Chaitanya himself has advised. But that's the background. Is that the subtle prana energy, which represents their sinful lust and greed and anger. I mean, you go home and you start thinking, oh, I want to murder that person. Where did that come from? I want to have sex and just you become very shocked that how I'm thinking these things all of a sudden. Yeah, there was a little short narrative. Some Brahminical person was walking. He came to a well and he was very thirsty. So he took some water. He also took the bucket. He untied the bucket and walked away with it. So he was walking and he said, I stole the bucket. Why did I take I don't usually do such. So he went back and he asked the people, who owns this well? And they said, oh, it's a butcher. So, oh, I became infected with this stealing. I didn't even think. So it really does. Some people may not be familiar with this kind of astral, subtle kind of science, but it's real. It's very real. And as we become more purified, we will feel it more. Just like if someone is very, very dirty and they hardly notice if they get more dirty, it's just a little bit more dirt. but but once you take a good shower and then there's a spot, right? Yeah. So
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. I
and
remember.
then
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
just to add to that, and also where we eat. You go and just like sometimes at work, you can go to the company cafeteria or the school cafe. It's better to avoid it if you can. Better to sit at your own place or to go outside or I mean it's not terrible, but it's just less. It will be less potential contamination or wearing a sinful person's shoes, using their toothbrush, sleeping in anything that touches their personal uh, energy. Or if you repeatedly hug someone, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be affectionate with our parents or whoever, but we want to minimize. What were you going to say, Arya Govinda? Prabhu?
Prabhuji, I remember my grandfather when I was in very younger days. So he used to tell. I mean, he was not eating. I mean, he was not drinking water in unknown places. So he used to selectively take, in only known places whenever he used to travel. And I'm saying about 50, 55 years ago. So he had that consciousness that he shouldn't take in places where he don't know how the people are doing their things. So he was not
Yeah,
taking any water outside. I
yeah.
just wanted to.
And, sometimes it's nice to be able to give some explanation because, it's not just some arbitrary, crazy, well, that's just some rule from a long time ago, only drink in known places. But it's good if you can give some little explanation. There's subtle energies and prana and the mentality. And, at least some people will, okay. Because sometimes people want a good reason why they're doing things.
True, true, true. Yes, Prabhuji. Are there any other questions, comments, Hare Krishna?
Can I ask a
And
question, please?
one thing, and that's the negative. On the positive side, we should speak about the positive. That when food stuff is prepared with care and attention, specifically offered to Krishna, but even just in general, then that mentality you can find in the memories of disciples of Srila Prabhupada. There was one from very early 1967 or something. It was the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. So Srila Prabhupada himself cooked the feast in honor of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. So this disciple was describing that after the celebration and they were honoring the prasadam, as they began to honor the prasadam, there was deafening silence. Everyone stopped talking, and everyone stated that it was the most amazing experience they had had because that food stuff had been made with such love and touched, hand cooked with such love, spiritual love, that they felt it. So that's the positive side. I'm sorry, Braj Kishore, you're going to.
Prabhu, I was when you say the 6 principles of surrender, if there is no support from the fellow devotees to, like, if you've been ordered to do something, there is no support from the fellow devotees. Some are making life difficult, being very stubborn, as they want it their way. Can we cheat those people to get to finish the order that has been given to us? I don't know if
I'm
my
not sure.
question is clear.
I apologize. I'm not sure I understand your questions. So
I thought so.
there's some other devotees who are making difficult surrender.
Well, somebody, devotee has been given an order to do so much. But when the person is trying to do it, the fellow devotees will not support, will not help, and some will make life difficult, being very stubborn. It should be done the way they want it done. So such people, can we cheat them to achieve the motive?
Can we cheat them?
Well, chat them up and distract them, or give them some other work just to get our work done.
Yes. I mean, you're speaking as if you're a manager or in a managerial position. Otherwise, how could you be giving them other things to do? Or can you ask if they can have other things to do?
Well, no, like in the family, if the member of a
Oh,
family is a devotee, but not supportive to do some things, like,
right.
and it has to be done, like, go to the temple or chant the rounds, something simple. But
Yes.
the person stubbornly would stop them doing it.
Yes.
So can we sort of distract them or cheat them into doing
Yeah.
something else
Yeah.
so that we can achieve our chanting or cooking or whatever?
Sounds favorable to me.
It's favorable. Okay.
Yeah. As long as you're not hurting them.
Well, no, it
But
doesn't hurt them, but cheating, I mean, or normally we see that cheating is not on for the devotees. But sometimes, like, we have to cheat them into chanting. They don't want to chant when they put them in such a place that they have to chant.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. As long as they don't later become unfavorable. And we don't want to, just like when we're distributing books, we don't want to tell someone something out and out false in the name of, well, they got a book. Like we tell them that this will help your business be successful next week.
Oh, yeah.
And, they
That
take
is
the book,
cheating,
but
yes.
then later they get disgusted. So all these Hare Krishnas are nonsense. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to do like that. When you were speaking, I was reminded of our Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
So he was given the instruction to teach Krishna consciousness in the English language, and several of his godbrothers were very unhelpful. There was no support from his godbrothers, in fact, more or less none, a little, but more or less none. And he was on his own. And in any situation where we feel desperate or helpless or alone, although it doesn't feel good, that's when we should really take deep shelter of Krishna and depend and seek his help. And it's an excellent opportunity to get deeper realization. We don't like to feel too challenged or weak or helpless or alone. It doesn't feel good. But instead of trying to feel strong so that we don't feel weak, instead we are weak. In other words, it's a kind of normal feeling to feel weak or helpless from a certain sense. And for some people, that doesn't feel good but actually it's a very excellent opportunity to connect with Krishna. And we were speaking about intoxication.
Yes.
We do have, just as Krishna has strength and Krishna has intelligence, so do we. We have strength. We have a lot of strength uh, uh, with Krishna. So to feel helpless and dependent doesn't mean that we can't take a commanding position. It doesn't mean that we can't be a leader. It doesn't mean that we can't, at least to others, appear to have power. but deep within our heart, we're very much feeling dependent on Krishna. You see, I mean, this doesn't directly address what you're saying, but it's kind of connected.
And in spite of
an,
doing all that, we fail to achieve the goal. Do we accept it as this is Krishna's plan? I've tried to the best of my ability to change this person, but he will not change. He will not give in.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. What can we do? We're not God. I mean, how can we change anyone? I mean, we can. I mean, we can make the attempt, and we should. But Srila Prabhupada speaks about this in the story of Vasudeva protecting Devaki, because Kamsa wanted to kill her.
Yes.
So somewhere in there, Srila Prabhupada writes that we should do our best to do our duty, fulfill our responsibilities, but if it doesn't turn out, we should not blame ourselves. And we should think, oh, I wonder if I could have done something better, or we can ask someone, is there something more I could do? But we should understand this is part of Krishna's larger plan. Think about doctors. They put in their best effort and the patient dies. It's not their fault.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, that's between them and Krishna.
But we have to try our best anyway.
Okay. Yeah, up to a point, and then leave it, as they say, give it to Jesus, give it to Krishna, pray to Krishna. If you so desire, may it please turn in this way and take care of our own Krishna consciousness, not especially, but often, as expected, younger devotees will become, disappointed. I'm trying to convert my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my parents, and they're not listening to me. Well, not a lot of people are going to listen to you, but you should still try and pray to Krishna. Leave it. It's between them and Krishna. All we can do is offer the information, offer the opportunity, maybe be a little pushy, depending who it is. Once, twice. Like I think I spoke a few classes ago, especially children, as they get into teens, 13, 15, 16, 17. It's important to shift a little bit more towards being a friend. Or 16, 17, 18, because they're going to live their own life. They're going to make their own decisions. And if we become too much their enemy, harassing them, they won't listen to us. So we want to maintain, that's a very important thing, is to maintain some thread of friendship. We want to push, but not so much that I hate that person. I'm never going to listen to them. We don't want that, you see? And it may be a little hard because, they're going down the wrong road, it looks like to me. But what can you do? That's their karma. That's their relationship with Krishna. And at least they'll come back to you. If you come in 2 or 3 years, I was saying, isn't it, 2 or 3 years ago?
Okay. Thank you.
That was a very good question. Very good question. Yeah.
Thanks.
Prabhuji, with the same question, can we pray for them if somebody is we want them to be badly in Krishna conscious, somebody close to us, we can pray to Krishna to bring them to Krishna consciousness, and we can chant for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's our love. That's our sincerity. I mean, how could we not at least keep them in our prayers and pray to pure devotees? Because sometimes, or usually, that is even more effective. You pray to Srila Prabhupada. You pray to your spiritual master. You pray to Tulsi. Yeah, and even we can perform austerities like a Qadasi. Oh, Qadasi is so powerful. Let me fast half day or all day and pray to Krishna that whatever good credits from my devotion may it go to my father, may it go to my husband. That's very good. It's good for us and it's good for them. Absolutely. Sankirtan. Sankirtan is the sacrifice for the age. And Srila Prabhupada instructs us, ultimately we only ask Krishna for pure love, but uh, in our stages, most of us, we're in so many situations of need, spiritual need. Think about that. Not just rain or an opportunity of a job, but my husband, my wife, my neighbor, my country, me. I wish there could be more. So then we do sacrifice. We go and we sit before Panchatattva, before Gornatai, and we chant Hare Krishna and maybe some extra rounds, and we pray, oh, please, if you so desire, by my sacrifice, may this, if you so desire. And that's good for us, and it's good for others. Krishna will be very happy with us. And then we feel also, satisfied that I'm doing something. And not only am I doing something, I'm doing something that very likely will help, because we want to help, right? So we
Yes,
do
Prabhu.
that.
Thank you. Prabhuji, there was one question raised, I think, Panchalikar Mataji. You wanted to ask something, Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. No, I think Prabhuji just answered my question. Doing the rounds, because this is a question that I had as well. I mean, it's very, very personal, and it just makes me cry every single day, literally, when I'm trying to pray, because we grew up in a Hindu family, so we never ate beef, so that wasn't right. But and then my brother lives in the States now, and I've got a nephew who's 8 years old. And although the parents don't eat, I mean, one of them is a vegetarian, the other eats meat briefly, but because the child goes to school and it's just normal, just to normalize things, and he started eating beef over there. And there's just no way. I mean, if I tell my brother, he's just, what can I do? It's just, it's just being with children, and I can't just make, but it just, I don't know how to bring, I mean, when I talk to my young nephew, he's so receptive at that young age. He's receptive to wanting to hear about Krishna, but at the same time, he's going to the school and he's eating beef with the others. And I just do not know when Krishna would show his mercy so that he stops doing that, because it's just such a personal thing. So that you discuss.
Yeah.
I suppose he gave the answer, Prabhuji, that chanting more rounds is the only way out.
Yeah, that's the best we can do.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that helps. As I said, it's good for us. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta advised his disciples, occasionally you should give donations to the poor. And they said, well, why? Because we might get karma, we'll have to come back to this. We said, to keep your heart soft, that we shouldn't think, well, that's their karma, right? Because sometimes people get a little hard-hearted, and they're miserly, they don't want to spend their money. Oh, so they give that's their karma. No, or they'll always be that way. No, once in a while, and we don't want to become callous. I guess we should stop. Arya Govinda's about to put the hook around my neck and pull me away.
Sorry, I'm just aware of the time, and then I can continue. There's no problem, Prabhuji.
Any other comments or?
Again, Prabhuji, in your classes, because it starts with one thing and it always triggers me into thinking about a completely different thing. So it's time. So I'll probably keep this question because it's completely unrelated to today's session. But it just, the question triggered because we started with time of the 7 days, etc. But perhaps it's for another day. But I had a question.
Well, what do you think, Arya Govinda?
Do we have a couple of minutes?
Yes, Prabhu. If Prabhu had time, I don't mind, Prabhuji. If you have time.
Yeah, yes.
Is it okay, Prabhuji? But apologies
yes.
again, because it's, I mean, I end up asking unrelated questions in your class, so apologies again.
No, it's about Krishna. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So it's about time. So we started with time, and we know Krishna said Kala, and we know time. The concept of time is only only exists in the material world, and there isn't any concept of time in the spiritual world. So in that case, when we think of all the spiritual entities, and because there is also Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj and all of them over there. So, but we also hear that Krishna's permanent age in the spiritual world is about 15, 16, and Radharani's is about 13, 14. So when we talk about baby Krishna, do they still exist, or do children exist in the spiritual world at all? Babies exist in the material world at all? What happens, or are they? Do they just appear when they actually transit to the spiritual world? They are permanently over there in their eternal form.
Yes. Well, of course, it's not something I've seen myself as yet. But the six Goswamis, the intimate disciples of Lord Chaitanya, they have provided references from different scriptures, and of course they are Nityasiddha, eternal residents of the spiritual world. And so especially Sanatana Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami have informed us that the childhood pastimes are eternal. So Krishna exists, and Mother Jashoda is chasing Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan eternally. He's stealing butter, and he's playing with a coward voice. So and he's present in his 15, 16-year-old form of Gopinath, Govinda. So I hope that there's eternal age.
Okay. So, I mean, parallelly, they all happen parallel. I mean, they are all existent at the same time, aren't they? Yeah. Okay, I understand, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for that question and answer, Prabhuji. I just request, can I request Panchali Mataji to end the session?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the wonderful, wonderful session. Thank you for highlighting the points around how one should prepare in the last days of one's life in this material world, how one should surrender unto Krishna, and the various ways of the six main ways of surrendering to Krishna, with the humility, with the understanding that everything lies in the hands of Krishna, and also the third point on what we can do and what we should do to be able to spread Krishna consciousness and try to help others who are not into Krishna consciousness, but help them in coming towards it. And then pray to Krishna, because as you taught us, that ultimately at the end of the day, it is their personal relationship with Krishna. So our duty is to try and pray to Krishna, and then leave the rest to the absolute power. So thank you for taking us through these very through these wonderful points, Prabhuji, and also for providing us solutions for our personal the personal things happening in our lives. Thank you. If we may please, if I can please request all the devotees to please unmute yourselves and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to glorify Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Vancha
Vancha Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Srila Prabhupada ki
Prabhupada.
jai.
Jai.
His Grace Dina Sharana Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to all the devotees. Thank you for your company. It's so precious to me. And
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
I look
Thank you for
forward.
your
I look
Thank you
association.
forward
very
to
much,
this.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you
Hare
very much.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you for the
Hare
wonderful.
Krishna.
You all keep me alive,